Here are 3 easy ways to fortify the entry doors of your home. Depending on the builder, not all entry doors are installed as secure as they should be. This makes it easier to kick in or kick down the door. In this video, I'm going to install an upgraded security strike plate, high security door lock, and 3-inch screws on the hinges. Find out how I did this and what I learned next.
Frakking Creations, showing you the good stuff.
Disclaimer: this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you do attempt to install these entry door security upgrades at your own risk, make sure to follow the product's installation instructions, wear proper safety gear, follow safety guidelines, and use appropriate tools correctly. Security strike plate install. The upgraded door security strike plate will be installed first. I will install this larger strike plate that secures both the latch bolt and the deadbolt of the door. This comes with 3-inch screws that will properly secure it to the stud in the door frame. Most door installs use short screws that only attach smaller strike plates to the door jamb. The door jamb is a thin piece of wood trim that runs around the door and isn't very strong. The 3-inch screws will go past the jamb and into the stud to properly secure this stronger security strike plate. Plus, the longer, bigger piece of metal can withstand more force than the smaller ones. If interested, I included links to purchase these 3 upgrades in the video description below. First, before ordering this security strike plate, I measure the center point of the deadbolt to the center point of the latch bolt. This particular strike plate works with doors that have the center points 5.5 inches to 6 inches apart. It's also a good idea to check all other measurements. This strike plate will fit this door. To install, I check to see if the plate can slide in between the door and the door jamb. If it can, the install is easier. I can surface mount the plate instead of having to chisel into the door jamb to make a slot for it to sit flush like the original strike plates. I next use the security strike plate as a template to mark where I will be installing it. I want to line up the new strike plate horizontally and vertically to the original strike plates, so that the door will close properly and tightly against the door frame as before. I noticed that the latch bolt and the deadbolt strike plates don't line up properly for this door. The new strike plate is also wider, so I cannot adjust for both to fit horizontally. For me, the deadbolt was used to line up the strike plate horizontally. I also have to make sure to line things up vertically so that both bolts can fit into the holes. I flipped the new strike plate around to make it easier to mark. I marked the center hole of the new strike plate on the door jamb. Next, I removed the original strike plates and test fit the new strike plate. I found that the new strike plate doesn't quite fit, so I need to chisel some of the old door jamb away. I don't have my chisel with me, so I decide to use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer. When finished chiseling, I position the plate back in place. Some tape can be used to hold it in place if needed. Close the door to make sure both the latch and deadbolt can close properly. I adjust the plate as necessary to ensure the door closes tight against the door frame and does not have any play. With the new strike plate exactly where I want it, I drill a pilot hole into the door jamb at the center hole of the strike plate. Screw it in place using a short screw and test fit again for proper latching of the latch bolt and deadbolt. Adjusting as necessary, then tighten the screw before drilling pilot holes for the 2 remaining inner holes. Screw in the 2 remaining short screws. Finish off by drilling holes for the 6 3-inch screws and screw them in. Nicely done! High security door lock install. The second door security upgrade is a high security door lock. This is supposed to be able to withstand 800 pounds of force when installed properly. This lock will help make sure that even if someone has a key to your door or are able to pick the lock, they still would not be able to get in easily without breaking down the door. First, the location to install is important. Most people will install this somewhere up high on the door, but this is not the best place. If someone were to kick down the door or use a ram or a sledgehammer, they would typically hit the door in the lower half, so the best place to put this is on the lower half of the door. I will put this one below the new security strike plate. Next, I check to see if the lock can fit in between the door and the door jamb. If it does, the install is easier and I can just surface mount it. Otherwise, I will have to chisel a slot in the jamb for the lock. For this door, it fits. I then notice that the thick trim around the door frame is interfering with the lock. This trim will prevent the lock's rubber pad from sitting flush with the door when in the locked position. Ideally, the lock should be flush to be more secure, but this should still work otherwise. I drill and insert the screws in the following order. I use the slotted hole first because this allows me to adjust the lock for fitment before drilling the 3-inch stud screws. I place the lock's mounting plate flat against the jamb and slide the lock all the way into the jamb and mark where to drill. I mark near the center of the slotted hole while making sure not to mark too close to the edge of the jamb. I drill the pilot hole and then screw the lock plate into the jamb. At this point, the screw should be firm enough to hold the lock firmly in place while allowing me to adjust the lock inwards or outwards. Next, close the door and lock the deadbolt, then lock the high security door lock. I slide the high security door lock in to move it as close to the door as possible. Ideally, the rubber pad should touch the door. Then carefully unlock the high security door lock without moving it inwards or outwards. Open the door and secure the first screw. I do a quick test to make sure it is still positioned correctly and can lock properly. Note that the included screws are only 2 inches long. I replace these with 3-inch screws. Lastly, drill the pilot holes and screw in the 3-inch stud screws. Perfect. Door hinge security upgrade. This one is the easiest to do of the 3. I have seen videos of people kicking down doors, and usually the door is forced open at the latch bolt or deadbolt. But every so often there is a video that shows the door breaking down at the hinges. This means that the hinges were attached with short screws. To secure the hinges, remove the outer hinge screws to check to see if they are 3 inches or not. If not, simply replace with 3-inch screws. I make sure to drill a long enough pilot hole, then screw in the 3-inch screws. All done. As a bonus tip, you can also add a motion and magnetic door sensor, which will let you know when the door is opened, closed, or left open. Plus, install a peephole video doorbell camera to record and see who is at the door. This is good stuff. We hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know in the comments. Like and share it to support our channel. Subscribe for more good stuff to come.